Good morning, everyone. I have some news. Well, if you read the title of this video, you already know the news that I have. Shahan and I have just gotten engaged after being together for 7 years. Really exciting stuff. By the time you see this video, we will have already been engaged for a month. I thought that after graduating nursing school, I was gonna have at least a little bit of time to kind of relax and do stuff like make videos, and that has absolutely not been the case. I am already studying a lot for my NCLEX, which is the board exam for nurses, and I'm gonna be taking that in a week. And I've also had a couple job interviews. One of my closest friends is getting married and I'm a bridesmaid, and I, for some reason, decided to do my own hair and makeup. And so, as someone who only wears makeup once a year, if that, I have been practicing every day. So I've been studying every day, practicing makeup every day. It's just been a lot. But I really wanted to make this video just because I do want to share the story with all of you, and also because when I am a little old lady Michelle, I will want to look back at these memories because it was such an amazing time. So, story time. The proposal happened when we were celebrating our anniversary weekend in San Diego. Shahan and I rented an Airbnb, and it was dog friendly so that we could bring Queenie with us. The packed meal. What's that?
Party drinks.
Leftovers. Hi, Mommy. And on the first night, we don't really have anything planned except to go to this Mexican place called Tacos El Gordo, and they cook the food in front of you. They have different stations for all the different types of meat and everything, and it is so good. And we don't really have anything planned for the rest of the night because Shahan says that he wants to go on a hike early the next morning. So the next morning, the sky is overcast. It's a hike that's by the beach, and the entire sky is just like gray. And I turned to Shahan and I'm like, hey, I know you mentioned that you wanted to do this hike because it looks really nice at the top. Like, do you think we're gonna see anything with the weather being like this? And he said, yeah, you know, maybe we can get breakfast or something before, and then we'll come back and see if the weather gets better. So then I look up a coffee spot that's kind of close by. Okay, so we're gonna go get a light breakfast.
Huh?
We're gonna get a light breakfast and coffee. And we find this cafe that's super cute. We get some pastries and we get some coffee and we sit outside. And we're just enjoying looking at this view just outside of the cafe that's really nice.
Hello.
Hello.
Do you feel weird being in your own video?
Yeah.
This is the man, this is the man behind the camera. This is the woman behind the camera.
That's the prettiest part, I think.
Uh-huh.
And I asked Shahan, like, hey, do you think I can fly my drone around here? Like, it looks really pretty. And he's like, sure. And then I find out that 2 out of the 3 batteries that I had brought were dead. The last battery had maybe 5 minutes of fly time on it. And then I also found out that the last time I had used the drone, I took out the memory card and I never put it back in. So it was almost dead and it didn't have a memory card, and I was really sad. And for the memory, I was like, oh, I can just delete all of the footage in the drone. There's some internal memory storage there, but then I still only had 5 minutes of fly time on the drone. So I used the 5 minutes to fly it around the cafe area because it was super pretty. And then Shahan and I drive back to where the hike is. And since it's by the beach, the parking lot at this point was super full. there was a line of cars coming out of the parking lot and people were getting turned away. And I look up at where the actual hike spot is and you can kind of see the beginning of it. And there are a bunch of people walking up and down the trail already because it's kind of like late morning at this point. And so Shahan's like, hey, let's just go back to the Airbnb. Like, let's hang out with Queenie a little bit. Let's charge the drone. Let's, like, I'll look up another thing that we can do and we'll regroup and do something else. So we go back to the Airbnb. Shahan's like, okay, let's bring Queenie with us this time. And he said he wanted to go to another beachy area that had these train tracks right along the beach. And he's like, I think that it would look really cool to fly the drone like in that area too. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. So we go and we park in this neighborhood and you kind of just like walk through the neighborhood to get to this cliffside.
Here we gotta figure out exactly how to get down. I think there's a bunch of ways down. We'll figure it out.
From the cliffside you can see the train tracks going along the beach. It is so pretty. And we walk down and we get to the tracks and we're kind of walking down the tracks. We're holding hands. Queenie is strapped to me in her little baby carrier sling that I have for her. Dang, if the train's coming, that'd be so sick to catch that on the drone. And Shahan looks at me and he's like, do you like it here? Like, is it nice? And I told him, yeah, it's really nice, especially since, you know, there aren't a bunch of people here. It's pretty casual. Like, you can see people going on their morning walks here, but I like it a lot. And he's like, cool. After some time, Queenie starts squirming in her little carrier because she's tired of being carried. And so I'm like, okay, Queenie is getting kind of tired. Should we start heading back now? And he said, let's just walk a little bit more. Let's fly the drone a little bit. Let's take some photos and then we can head back. And I was like, okay. So we walk a little more. Queenie's all squirming. So I'm like, okay, let's just fly the drone now. She's getting really impatient. So I take out the drone and I start flying it in one direction. I'm just going. And it looks super nice. I bring the drone back around and I start flying it over the ocean to kind of get a nice aerial shot. And then I fly it all the way down the other direction, pretty far down. And Sean's like, okay, bring the drone back now so we can take a photo of ourselves. So I turn the drone around and I start bringing it back. As the drone is coming back toward us, I feel Shahan put his arm around my waist and he starts pulling me toward him. And I'm like, wait, it's not back yet. I'm still flying it back. And he's like, okay, that's fine. And when it gets like pretty close to us, he pulls me in and he kisses me. When he kisses me, I feel his lips like quivering against mine. And I kind of laugh to myself because I'm like, why are his lips shaking? And he takes a step back and he says, do you remember when you told me that, you know, you liked it here because it's super casual walk? And I was like, yeah. And he said, well, actually it's one of the most important walks of our lives. And then he pulls out the ring and he gets on one knee. And I start sobbing. And I'm really glad that the drone was far enough away that you couldn't see like my face up close. But yeah, it was funny because I told myself, like, you know, I'm not gonna be like one of those girls. Not that anything is wrong with this, but I was like, every photo or whatever you see of any girl getting proposed to, she's always like this, like hands over mouth. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that, whatever. Let me tell you, the magnetic pull of your hand to your face, you just like, you can't help it. You can't. You can try, it's not gonna happen. If I wasn't holding the drone controller in my other hand, I would have been like, so yeah, it's crazy. And so he puts the ring on my finger and and I look at it and the first thing I say is, it's so pretty. It's so pretty, and it's like exactly what I wanted. It is rose gold, like, you know, plain band and a solitaire diamond. So that was the moment, and Queenie was there for it, and it was so nice. It's funny, nobody tells you that when you get one of these things, from that moment on, you just end up looking at it constantly every like 2 or 3 seconds, 24/7, and that you have separation anxiety when you take it off for any reason. And this is coming from someone who literally, like, I don't wear jewelry. Yeah, I'm obsessed. So after the proposal, Shahan and I go to this deli that's inside of this grocery store, and we order some sandwiches, and we are just planning to go to some park and kind of sit there with Queenie. I remember walking through the grocery store and just seeing people going about their daily lives, getting lunch or whatever, and I'm just like grinning, just cheesing it, walking around like nobody knows that, you know, our lives changed that day. We got engaged like an hour ago, and I have this new thing on my hand, and I'm just walking around and nobody knows. I don't know, it's such a funny feeling to be like, wow, we just got engaged and now we're going to get sandwiches, and it's just, people are just living their lives. Wow. Oh, look at the interior for this one. So we get the sandwiches, we go to this park, and we go and we sit and we eat our sandwiches. Oh.
Good catch. Let her fall. Tumble.
We call all of our family, close friends, we text people, and kind of just give them the news and see their reactions. We just enjoy. The weather is perfect. Shahan and Queenie end up taking a nap, and I'm just sitting there like this. Like, oh, you're taking a nap. After that, we go back to the Airbnb, we drop Queenie off, we start getting ready for dinner, go to our dinner reservations. It's so pretty. I keep saying everything is so pretty, but this whole day was just so pretty. But this restaurant has such a nice view, but the music that's playing is like clubbing, loud, like you're at a nightclub music playing. It's party time. So it's like 2 different rave club things playing within earshot, and we're just like, oh, what a lovely engagement dinner. Yeah, no, it was hilarious, and it was still really nice despite the music. So then on the final day, we rent bikes. We go to Coronado, and we kind of just ride our bikes down through the neighborhoods in Coronado and then down to the Strand, and we bike down the Strand for a little bit. And we don't have that much time, so then we have to turn around and bike back. All right, we're turning around.
Now that we got to the pretty part, we're turning around.
Got to the water, and we gonna yeet. Peace out. We're gonna yeet. Peace out, Girl Scout. I'm sweaty. And then get Queenie, and then go home. So that was the weekend. I also wanted to talk about a couple of other things. One thing that I've been asked is, did I know that it was happening? You know, honestly, kind of. Yes and no. So Shahan and I have been together for 7 years, and in the last year and a half. Like, we had already been talking about marriage and having kids together. We were both synced and we knew that we wanted to spend the rest of our lives together. So it wasn't like a surprise. Also, you know, he mentioned that he didn't want me to be stressed about wedding planning with school. So I knew it was gonna be sometime toward the end of school. I was graduating August 13th and our anniversary was August 1st. So I kind of was like, in my head internally, my clock was like, okay, somewhere in that time, probably, most likely. And then there were just little hints. But also Shahan kind of threw me off with some stuff. For one, I cut Shahan's hair, and to kind of like, I was trying to do a couple little things to gauge whether it was gonna happen this weekend or not. And one of them was to ask him like, oh, did you still wanna cut your hair? Like, if you haven't cut your hair in a while, it's getting long. He's like, yeah, we should do that. And I was like, okay. But then I wanted to test the water. So I was like, well, but if you're not in a rush or anything for any reason, like, we don't have to do it before the weekend. Like, we can wait until next week or whatever. And he's like, yeah, you know, I'm not in a rush. Like, we don't have to do it soon. And I was like, it's funny how some girls have a clue because a friend or relative or whatever asks them to get a manicure, but I've never gotten a manicure in my life. My indicator for if something is up is if Shahan gets a haircut. So I was like, okay, maybe it's not happening. But then after that happened, he's like, oh, by the way, you should bring your tripod to San Diego with us. And then I was like, why? Because in the 7 years that we have been together, he has never ever asked me to bring my tripod to anything. Like, I usually initiate that kind of stuff, and then I even don't want to bring my tripod because it's like big and bulky. So I was like, why do you want to bring the tripod? And he said, because we don't want to only have selfie pics on our anniversary weekend. And I was like, who are you? What are you saying? And I was like, no, I don't want to bring my big tripod, but we can bring the little bendy one. Or I can bring my drone. And he's like, okay. We haven't used your drone in a long time, you know? Like, we can bring your drone. And I was like, okay. So like, little hints here and there. But also he threw me off with the haircut thing. So I don't know. I knew and I didn't know, but I think that's fine. And yeah, I loved how it happened. So all good. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the story of the ring, because it's actually super cute too. Shahan went with his friend to go to the jeweler that he went to get his wife's ring. And he tricked me because he said that he was going to lunch with this friend. And it was kind of random because he said he was getting lunch with him in the middle of a work day on a random weekday. And I was like, I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, oh, that's cool. You guys are hanging out. And he's like, that's when I went to the jeweler with the friend. And at first, like, Shahan and I went to get my ring size together. I told him the kinds of things that I wanted. So again, it wasn't a super surprise, but it's so cute to think of. It's just little tiny jewelry shop. And Shahan said that he went and they were looking at the stone, like just the stones through a little magnifying glass and kind of just comparing them and seeing them. It's just so cute to imagine Shahan doing that, because I literally would have been fine if he just ordered it online or something somewhere. But I love it even more because he went through all that work to really pick the one that he wanted. And I just love it. But yeah, okay, I've been talking for a long time now. So that is the story. We are just barely starting to scratch the surface with wedding planning, and yeah, that's gonna be a lot. So, but thank you so much for listening. I will see you in the next video. Bye.